All right, so we are back, and let's talk about the premiere match, quote unquote, for the show, which was the dog collar match.
Oh boy.
And I'll be honest with you, there aren't a whole lot of records about dog collar matches because it's actually a fairly new match within the scope of professional wrestling. So usually dog collar matches are done one way, where one-on-one competitors, usually, because we're going to talk about some outliers, where one competitor has it on their neck, the other one has it on their neck, and they have it with either a chain, I've seen it with twine, also a Texas bull rope.
That's what I was thinking of too. That's the first thing that came to mind because Eddie Guerrero and JBL had a Texas bull rope match for the WWE Championship.
We will be talking about something similar to that here in a moment, because the Texas bull rope match is a spin-off of the dog collar match. But I want to talk about specifically the dog collar matches because we had the MJF CM Punk dog collar match. Now, the history of this is not only just significant, and it shouldn't be ignored. Despite the notoriety of this match, they are rare. There's only been maybe a handful of matches since the first one in 1983, according to most records. Before that, there weren't any. But once again, there weren't a lot of tapes being passed around pre-1980 wrestling, and it was really hard to find stuff like that. But nobody's found anything. So it was kind of cool. Now, the first one that obviously a lot of people love to talk about and jerk off on was the Starcade 1983 dog collar match between Greg the Hammer Valentine and Roddy Piper. Now, despite this match was bloody, just like that's why I gave this one a little bit of credence. But the thing is that this was a 16-minute match where that made sense. A really easy, straightforward match, 100 miles an hour, and it was at the first Starcade, which was 1983. Now, this was not the only dog collar match.
It was 83. I thought it was 88 that was the first Starcade.
It was 83. 88 was the first one under WCW. This was NWA. Yeah. So, Roddy Piper won the match, but this was not their only dog collar match. It was actually a series of dog collar matches that spanned through the territories. This was the first televised one. Okay. Once again, this might be the first one ever, but we don't know because records from before that are a little muddied and obscure, especially with one of the participants who we'll be talking about in a little bit. So I couldn't really find a better picture of this one. But with CM Punk having his dog collar match, it wasn't the first dog collar match that CM Punk was a part of. The first one that he was a part of was against Raven at the first Death Before Dishonor match in 2003. Also, CM Punk's gear right there, it's the same gear that he wore in his dog collar match against Raven. Same one.
Or against MJF tonight.
Well, yeah, it was the same one that he faced against Raven against MJF tonight. Same exact one. Also, the theme song and everything, it all tied back to his one against Raven.
That would not have been possible if Tony Khan did not own ROH.
Yeah, no way. Zero way. Also, CM Punk won that one, but he was also not the only one who had a dog collar match despite Tony Schiavone's misinformation.
Oh my God!
So Tony CNN
comes out. Tony Schiavone being wrong. How dare you?
So they're like, oh, CM Punk is familiar with dog collar matches, but MJF has never been in this. He has been in this against actually Ethan Page at Alpha One Wrestling.
Yeah, Tony Mick.
I can't remember I think it was in 2007 when this happened, and Ethan Page won the match, by the way. But it was only the one match that they had.
What promotion was this?
This was at Alpha One Wrestling.
Oh, okay.
That was the name of the promotion.
Huh.
I can't remember where it's based out of, but they do syndicated company, like they do not syndicated. Well, no, they do syndicated channels like publicly broadcasted stuff in the United States and in Canada. So this was shown in front of a couple of people. let's talk about some ECW Dog Collar matches because they were a little more frequent. So,
gee whiz.
So
what a shocker. Hold on, let me get my shock face out.
Right. So the first recorded one was between Pitbull Gary Wolf and the Tasmaniac, or also known as Taz, back in what was the show called? The Hostile City Showdown back in, I think this was in 1995. But there were a bunch of them, and there was also the first no, this wasn't the first recorded. The second recorded tag team dog collar match, because actually those were frequent. Well, not as frequent as singles ones, but you get it. Same thing, around the neck with chains. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about one in WCW. Now, in WCW wrestling, there weren't a whole lot. And usually, a dog collar match was for undercard matches. It was never a main event. It was never main event guys in a dog collar match back in WCW. So this one, for instance, was between a young Chris Jericho and Perry Saturn, and this happened at the 1999's Uncensored show.
Yeah, I almost immediately recognized Chris Jericho in
that
match.
I'm covering Perry Saturn here, but you wouldn't be able to notice because all you see is a bald head anyway, so it doesn't matter. But this was an Uncensored 1999. There were no titles on the line. They had a rivalry, but this just happened. And I think that's kind of where WCW showed that disrespect towards a match like a dog collar match, because it shouldn't be like that. Now, one person I want to talk about as well is the Junkyard Dog. There are records in archives of him having multiple dog collar matches, but the problem is that the Junkyard Dog's main time was in that late 70s, early 80s Southern pro wrestling, which actually was kind of crazy to think that Junkyard Dog was the most popular guy in Southern pro wrestling. Given his race, like, come on. I'm sorry.
I'm not surprised though that.
But he connected with the audience in a way. Now, a lot of the matches that I was going to describe, they don't have any screenshots or tapes because of the time they weren't recorded. Now, this one was, and this one was the most famous one between two, which was a Junkyard Dog taking on Don Morocco, and this happened in 1982 in a promotion called Spectrum, and that was in Louisiana, I believe. It was in Louisiana, and I think they traveled in Mississippi and Alabama too, so kind of in that area. But JYD was really a lot of Florida. So, but we got to talk about this one.
Yep.
And it's a little hard to talk about because obviously of the significance of this. AEW is not a stranger to dog collar matches. This was, I think, the only other one between Cody Rhodes and Brodie Lee for the AEW TNT Championship.
And this was Brodie Lee's last match for his passing.
Yes, the pre-recorded one, I think this was pre-recorded, but he went on hiatus because of health issues, which led to his death. Keep in mind, this happened on Wednesday, October 7th, and he died, I think, later that month. That's how...
I thought it was sometime in November when he eventually died.
No, I think he died on the 27th of October.
Oh, okay, so maybe I'm wrong.
I could be wrong. Here, filibuster for a little bit before I'm going to go look this up.
I'm filibustering, so...
I believe.
Eric Redbeard's debut was pretty cool, and I guess it was Return.
Oh, it was in October, so we were both incredibly wrong. He died December 26th.
Oh, that's right.
So
it was pretty lengthy. It was a pretty lengthy hospital stay.
Yeah, he was pretty lengthy.
But anyways, the point is that this was his last ever professional wrestling match. He lost the title to Cody, who was
so he could be written off of television because he was having issues
because of the health issue.
Right, and it was not COVID related, by the way.
It was not.
Anyway, so the dog collar match, despite its maybe one or two very matches that a lot of people do recognize it for certain things, tonight's dog collar match was not one of the highlights of it.
No, it was not.
I believe that Brodie Lee's and Cody's was better.
Absolutely.
And also, I feel like it was better because there was a title on the line. Also, it wasn't as... I mean, there was blood, but I feel like it went a little bit later. And also, the rivalry just kind of felt like it should have been there. Like, it was that kind of thing. So I kind of liked it more. But anyway, that was just kind of where I am right now as a part of Dog Collar Matches. So when we come back, we're not only going to make AEW and Revolution Majestic again, but we're going to make Pro Wrestling Majestic again.